My belief, I think that Lee Harvey Oswald was in on it, but I think there were multiple people that were in on it.
Do you think there are multiple shooters?
Yes.
The official story of the JFK assassination has always seemed straightforward. A lone gunman, one fateful day, and a stunned nation. But newly uncovered tapes cast a shadow on that tidy conclusion. What if everything we thought we knew was just the surface? Let's dive into the deeper layers. The day in Dallas. November 22nd, 1963. It was a bright Friday morning in Dallas, Texas, as President John F. Kennedy's motorcade snaked through the bustling crowds. There was excitement in the air and waving flags everywhere you looked. People remember the sound of cheer and laughter right up until the gunshots rang out. The sudden crack of rifle fire echoed through Dealey Plaza, bringing a halt to the hopeful spirit that had filled the city streets. Kennedy was struck, Governor Connolly was hit, and the nation froze in horror. In the chaos, all eyes turned to a nearby building, the Texas School Book Depository, where a man named Lee Harvey Oswald worked. Moments later, the world was plunged into shock. Was this just a single man with a rifle, calmly placing himself at the sixth-floor window? Or was something else at play, hidden behind the smoke and confusion? The Warren Commission would eventually label Oswald as the lone gunman, but many witnesses reported a second shot coming from the so-called grassy knoll. Conflicting accounts, frantic police radio chatter, and incomplete facts from the very beginning gave birth to doubt. Truth or confusion? The seeds of suspicion were planted from that very day. Oswald's arrest and the swift conclusions. Not long after the shots were fired, Lee Harvey Oswald was apprehended in a Dallas movie theater. He was identified by a patrol officer who entered the building, suspecting something unusual about the man in the back rows. The arrest was almost too quick, too seamless. Within just a few hours, the press and law enforcement had all but declared Oswald the assassin.
You shoot the president? I didn't shoot anybody, no, sir.
Everyone wanted answers, and a neat solution was just what the public craved to calm their nerves. But was it really so clear-cut? In the swirl of rumors and half-truths, Oswald declared, "I'm just a patsy." Those 4 words would haunt the investigation for decades. What did he mean? The official story said he acted alone, but some people pointed to potential ties with Cuban exiles, Soviet connections, or even the CIA. He had spent time in the Soviet Union. He'd also been involved in pro-Castro activism in New Orleans. Was that suspicious background just a coincidence? Or was Oswald planted? The speed of his arrest and the near-instant labeling of a suspect fit a clean narrative. Yet behind the scenes, law enforcement, federal agencies, and bystanders were already hearing whispers of alternative theories. The shadow of doubt began to grow. Jack Ruby and the silencing moment. 2 days after the assassination, Oswald was slated to be transferred from the city jail to the county facility. The media gathered en masse, cameras rolling, all eyes fixated on the prime suspect's next move. Suddenly, from out of nowhere, Dallas nightclub owner Jack Ruby darted forward and fired a fatal shot into Oswald's abdomen. The scene was caught on live television, leaving reporters speechless. The alleged assassin of the president was now dead, never given the chance to stand trial or share more of his story. Why would Ruby do this? He claimed he acted out of anger, wanting to avenge the fallen president and spare Jacqueline Kennedy the pain of a drawn-out court case. But some investigators even within law enforcement, found it suspicious. Ruby had known associates in the criminal underworld, and Dallas police officers knew him from his clubs. Did someone ask him to silence Oswald before he could talk? Or was Ruby merely a hot-headed character seeking attention in a moment of chaos? By gunning down Oswald, Ruby put a halt to many potential revelations. The greatest source of answers was buried with Oswald, fueling more speculation that we weren't hearing the full story. The Warren Commission sealing the narrative. In the wake of the tragedy, President Lyndon B. Johnson formed the Warren Commission to calm a terrified nation and deliver a definitive account. Chief Justice Earl Warren oversaw the investigation with a goal: to let no details slip away and to bring truth to the American people. After months of interviews, eyewitness testimonies, and ballistic reports, the commission published a massive document concluding that Oswald had acted alone. The single bullet theory emerged, suggesting one bullet struck both Kennedy and Governor Connally, explaining the multiple wounds. But skepticism sprang up. Many observers were left asking how one bullet could do so much damage without shattering, or how the timing of the shots matched the limited window Oswald had. Eyewitness accounts of shots from the grassy knoll seemed glossed over. Some testimonies were outright rejected. Could all these eyewitnesses be wrong, or was the commission trying to maintain a simple storyline? No matter which side you take, the Warren Commission's findings closed the door on official inquiries. Yet for many, the question remained: was Oswald truly the lone gunman? Or was the commission rushed, pressured by powerful figures who wanted the public to move on and trust one official version? The magic bullet theory revisited. The single bullet theory, often called the magic bullet theory, was the linchpin of the Warren Commission's conclusion. According to this theory, one bullet caused multiple wounds in JFK and Governor Connally, defying what many considered the laws of physics. Critics have pointed out that the bullet's trajectory didn't seem to match the positions of the two men. Governor Connally even publicly stated he never believed one bullet hit them both. Podcaster Joe Rogan has also disagreed with the theory, arguing that a single bullet couldn't remain so pristine after passing through two bodies and striking bone. He points to the convenient discovery of the largely intact bullet on Connally's gurney as one more sign the official story doesn't add up. Over the years, new ballistic tests have been done to see if one projectile could really cause such damage without fragmenting significantly. Results have been mixed, with some tests concluding it's theoretically possible, while others say it's unlikely. Technology has advanced since 1963, offering more sophisticated ballistic modeling tools. Yet the debate still rages on. Why does this matter? If the single bullet theory collapses, so does the lone gunman scenario. Because if there were more bullets than the Warren Commission claimed, then we're almost certainly dealing with multiple shooters. And if there were multiple shooters, that points to a coordinated effort. Every re-examination of the magic bullet keeps alive the possibility that this was no one-man job. Could the entire case hinge on the path of a single piece of metal? The Zapruder film, a shocking glimpse. Abraham Zapruder was an ordinary man who happened to capture the world's most famous home movie. Standing on a concrete pedestal in Dealey Plaza, he recorded the motorcade with his 8mm camera, never imagining the horror he'd soon witness. In the film, we see Kennedy's limousine roll by. Then the horrifying moment the president is struck. This brief footage became a cornerstone of every serious investigation, official or otherwise. At first, The film was purchased by Life magazine, and for a while, only select frames were released to the public. Over the years, more frames were published, and eventually, the entire reel was made available. People began counting the frames, matching them to the timing of the shots, and noticing that Kennedy's body movement seemed to jerk backward, fueling claims that at least one shot came from the front. Critics of the single bullet theory latched onto these details, while defenders argued it was all consistent with a shot from behind. Yet even the Zapruder film left us with questions. Why the secrecy at first? Why did it take so long for the full footage to emerge? And did we see everything, or only selected frames that shaped a narrative? The images remain haunting, capturing the exact moment America lost its innocence. Joseph Miltier tapes. 11 days before the assassination, an FBI informant recorded a conversation with a man named Joseph Adams Miltier, a militant right-wing activist from Georgia.
I don't know, Kennedy's coming here, I think on the 18th or something like that, to make some kind of speech.
On the tape, Miltier spoke about a plot to kill President Kennedy. He mentioned a high-powered rifle and a vantage point from a tall building. This conversation, once quietly filed away, is astonishing when compared to the real events in Dallas.
Coming off this building with a high-powered rifle.
When the assassination happened exactly as Miltier described, right down to a rifle shot from an upper floor, many wondered why this warning wasn't acted upon more forcefully. FBI files show they found the threat unsubstantiated, but a chilling detail remains. On November 23rd, just one day after the assassination, Miltier was heard bragging that he knew it was going to happen. For years, these tapes were buried in classified files, rarely discussed. When they finally emerged, conspiracy theorists saw them as proof of a broader plan. Skeptics suggested Miltier was boasting or repeating common chatter about taking out a president with no real link to Dallas. But the timing is eerie, isn't it? If authorities had taken Miltier's claims seriously, might the tragedy have been prevented? The tapes invite that haunting question. LBJ's private phone calls. In the aftermath of Kennedy's death, Lyndon B. Johnson took the Oval Office. Johnson was known for his extensive habit of recording phone calls. Years later, as these tapes trickled into the public domain, they offered a glimpse into the president's private thoughts. In some calls, he hints at concerns that a wider conspiracy might have existed and worries about national security implications. One conversation between LBJ and then Senator Richard Russell, one of the Warren Commission members, reveals Russell's doubts about the single bullet theory. LBJ responded with caution, as though he wanted to keep the official line intact. Another conversation has LBJ admitting that he didn't entirely trust the FBI's handling of the investigation. The question arises, why did LBJ, the man with the power to launch a deeper federal probe, seem hesitant? Was he afraid of what further digging might reveal? Some historians argue he worried about implicating the Soviet Union, risking a conflict. Others say he simply felt it was best for national stability to accept the lone gunman story. The tapes give a rare behind-the-scenes look at a president juggling private doubts while publicly supporting the official narrative. Those hidden phone calls remain a window into high-level uncertainty. New revelations from declassified files. In 2025, the White House released 8,000 pages of previously classified JFK assassination documents, adding to the millions of pages already made public over the decades. As researchers sift through these newly unredacted records, a more intricate picture emerges, one challenging the long-standing claim that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. Among the explosive revelations is evidence supporting the long-debated theory of a second shooter. Witness accounts clearly suggest shots came not just from Lee Harvey Oswald's position in the Texas School Book Depository, but also from the now infamous grassy knoll. One suppressed testimony even detailed fragments of a bullet striking a bystander near the underpass, further undermining the Warren Commission's lone gunman conclusion. But perhaps even more troubling is the fresh evidence pointing towards CIA involvement, or at the very least, dangerous incompetence. Newly declassified memos show CIA officials deliberately ignored warnings about Oswald's suspicious activities, including visits to Soviet and Cuban embassies weeks before Kennedy's assassination. Another startling memo details CIA officer George Joannides funneling funds to anti-Castro groups linked directly to Oswald, raising serious questions about the agency's true role. Equally chilling are uncovered transcripts of mob conversations referencing the need to take care of Kennedy, fueling theories of organized crime involvement motivated by revenge over Kennedy's betrayal during the failed Bay of Pigs invasion. While these revelations may not entirely rewrite history, they unquestionably deepen the suspicions and complexities surrounding JFK's assassination, leaving us to wonder just how much more remains hidden beneath decades of secrecy. Jim Garrison's New Orleans investigation. One of the most electrifying efforts to dig deeper came from Jim Garrison, the district attorney of New Orleans. In 1967, Garrison famously indicted local businessman Clay Shaw for conspiring to assassinate President Kennedy. Garrison believed Oswald was connected to a network of anti-Castro operatives in New Orleans and that Shaw was part of that web. The investigation was full of twists and drama, capturing national attention. Garrison's claim was that powerful figures within the CIA and the military-industrial complex were behind a plot, and New Orleans was a crucial hub. He found witnesses who said they saw Oswald with known anti-Castro activists, but many of those witnesses later retracted statements or were deemed unreliable. Shaw was ultimately acquitted. Yet Garrison's probe sparked new questions about a possible CIA role. Declassified documents later revealed that the CIA was indeed monitoring Garrison's investigation closely, even planting stories to discredit him. Was Garrison onto something, or was he chasing shadows? Critics said he was out for fame. Supporters hailed him as a hero who tried to crack a carefully woven cover-up. The truth remains tangled, but Garrison's crusade proved that the official story was far from universally accepted. The House Select Committee on Assassinations. By the mid-1970s, public trust in government had taken a hit after Watergate. So, in 1976, the U.S. House of Representatives formed the House Select Committee on Assassinations, HSCA, to re-evaluate the JFK case, as well as Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. The committee gathered new testimonies, reanalyzed ballistic evidence, and even studied the infamous dicta belt recordings from the Dallas police. In 1979, the HSCA released its final report, making headlines by concluding that President Kennedy was probably assassinated as a result of a conspiracy. This was a direct contradiction to the Warren Commission's lone gunman theory. Yet, the HSCA didn't identify who else might have been involved. Instead, it pointed out that the FBI and CIA withheld vital information from the Warren Commission. Could that have changed the original conclusion? Despite this striking pronouncement, little was done to pursue further investigation. No new trials, no major arrests, just a haunting statement that JFK probably died at the hands of more than one gunman. The official record was now deeply contradictory, and so the puzzling question lingered. If a congressional committee believed there was likely a conspiracy, why did the case remain so tightly shut? The mysterious deaths of witnesses. Many figures tied to the JFK assassination died under odd circumstances in the decade that followed. While some of these can be explained by natural causes, others are shrouded in suspicion. Perhaps the most famous was David Ferrie, a pilot with alleged CIA connections who was investigated by Jim Garrison. Ferrie died of an apparent brain aneurysm just days after Garrison publicly named him a key witness. Another puzzling case was journalist Dorothy Kilgallen, who reportedly had a private interview with Jack Ruby. She vowed to break new details about the assassination in a forthcoming article. Before she could publish it, she was found dead under circumstances labeled accidental. Her notes were never found. Should we read anything into these untimely passings? Skeptics say conspiracy theories often oversimplify coincidences. People do die suddenly, especially in a large pool of witnesses. But for those convinced of a cover-up, these deaths look like a systematic silencing. The entire saga underscores how the JFK story is riddled with tragedies and abrupt endings. Is it all a dark coincidence, or are these deaths further proof that someone was covering their tracks? Where does the evidence lead? When we line up all the threads, strange recordings, unexplained ballistic trajectories, suspicious witness deaths, and new revelations from once secret files, an unsettling picture begins to form. The official story, with its neat lone gunman thesis, starts to feel incomplete. Yet for every piece of evidence that suggests a conspiracy, there's a counterclaim challenging it. Skeptics say we should avoid letting speculation run wild. Supporters of deeper inquiry argue that history deserves the full truth, however messy. Have the newly uncovered documents utterly changed the narrative? Not in an ironclad, court-proof way. There's still no single piece of evidence that erases all doubt about who pulled the triggers and why. But the tapes do bring a fresh dimension to the discussion, showing us the unseen questions, doubts, and private worries of those closest to the events. Is the final word still out there, waiting to be discovered in a dusty file or old tape reel? Many believe so. The JFK assassination continues to fascinate because it defies simple explanations. In a world hungry for tidy endings, this tragedy remains an enigma, reminding us how quickly official stories can unravel once new voices emerge from the static of time. And that's the story. A day that shook the world, a swirl of doubts and tapes that might change how we see it all. Thanks for watching.